Out executive session, if I may have a motion to please close this special town board meeting. And a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are now adjourned. And now, welcome to the regular August 20th, 2013 Town Board meeting. And at this time, I would like to ask you to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Councilwoman Esley.
Present.
Councilman Marasco. Here. Councilman Perdico.
Here.
Councilwoman Skrobach.
Here.
Supervisor DeRizio.
Here.
And Attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call forward Chief of Police Richard Boyan for our Distinguished Service Award presentation.
Teacher. Would you like to step up, please? Yeah, sure.
Come on up.
Yeah, he's doing right.
Mr. and Mrs. Lewis?
Thank you. Tonight, we're giving the Distinguished Service Award to one of our officers who was involved in a police officer shooting in June of this year. From what we understand from the medical staff at General, the officer saved his life, saved the wounded officer's life. He was a Rochester police officer. So tonight we thought we'd honor our officer, Robert Lewis, with the Distinguished Service Award. It's an award that we very seldom give out within our department because it's such a high honor to get this award, and it's you really have to do something special, and we feel that the officer did. And along with that, this officer was nominated for this award by his colleagues. So it's very important. So with this, I would like to give Officer Robert Lewis the Distinguished Service Award. There you go. They want the change and not the award. These are the parents of the injured officer, police sergeant. I'll read a little bit what happened that June night, which was at first very chaotic, but I believe at the end it turned out with a somewhat happy ending. Okay, on June 27th, 2013, while on duty for the Irondequoit Police Department, you heard a broadcast over the radio that a Rochester Police Department was pursuing a homicide suspect northbound on North Goodman Street. You heard that the male suspect had fled from a vehicle on foot in the area of North Goodman and Yates Street. You positioned your patrol vehicle on Blakesley Street and Elm Place and began to move in a westbound direction on foot towards North Goodman Street. Within a few seconds, you heard several gunshots south of your location. You ran to to North Goodman Street in the direction that the shots were coming from. As you approached North Goodman, you observed Rochester Police Sergeant Fulmer Zanalovic on the ground with gunshot wounds. Simultaneously, you observed a male suspect running westbound, crossing North Goodman Street and away from where the wounded sergeant was located. You lost sight of the suspect and you ran as he ran through the parking lot. You immediately turned your attention toward the wounded sergeant and could see that he was shot in both arms. A Rochester police officer placed a tourniquet on the wounded sergeant's left arm, and you broadcast the fact that the officer was down and shot. Now, when you hear that over a radio, the adrenaline in a police officer goes sky high. That's something that's an awful thing to hear. You made a decision, due to the severity of the wounds and the amount of blood lost, that an immediate transport to the hospital was needed. Gunshots were still being fired as you assisted the wounded sergeant into the back seat of the Rochester Police Department patrol car, and as you got into the seat with him, you wrapped your right arm around the sergeant to keep the tourniquet tight, while using your left arm to hold on to the vehicle's cage to stop yourself and the wounded sergeant from sliding around in the back seat. Rochester Police Department Officer Gary Wegman drove the patrol car to Rochester General Hospital while you advised 911 to contact Rochester General Hospital to have the staff ready to treat the wounded sergeant. The wounded sergeant told you he was in a lot of pain and that he was also shot in the back. You continued to hold him and pulled him tightly to your body to apply as much pressure against him in case he had a wound in the back. You, Officer Wegman, and Injured Sergeant Zanalovic arrived at Rochester General Hospital within minutes of the sergeant being shot and were met by doctors of the trauma unit awaiting your arrival. Today, the sergeant is alive and recuperating at home. Your actions on June 27, 2013 distinguished yourself in the performance of an act of courage involving risk of serious personal injury for the purpose of protecting the life of the wounded Rochester Police Department sergeant. You continuously and single-handedly exposed yourself to grave personal danger when you came upon the wounded sergeant, as the suspect was in near proximity of both of you. On behalf of the Irondequoit Police Department, I want to recognize your exceptional contribution and service to our law enforcement community. We are all proud of your immediate action on that day. I'm so proud of you.
Wow. Bravo. I certainly can attest as a parent how difficult it is when you see your child facing challenges in life and tragic circumstances. One life is linked to another life by a fragile thread. Therefore, appreciation should be shown continuously and not necessarily following just after a time of sorrow. By showing our gratitude, we become more connected to one another and understand life's joys, life's challenges, and life's tragedies. Volunteerism is a most rewarding and valuable way to serve the community. Over the next few months, we shall recognize those who give back to the community and contribute to the quality of life for all residents. Tonight, we shall applaud our fire departments for their service and high professional standards to Irondequoit. I don't know why they're so shy out there. It takes commitment and many hours of training to become a firefighter. If you're willing to commit the time and effort, there is a department ready to serve. Firefighters need to possess a multitude of skills and talents. Integrity is as essential a trait since trust in public safety is a two-way street. Fitness, communication, adaptability, dedication, teamwork, and self-sacrifice are additional traits in placing one's life on the line for others. We, the residents of Irondequoit, extend our most heartfelt gratitude to the firefighters serving our town as they continue to dedicate their time, skills, and energy to protecting people and property. At this time, I will call each department forward and ask the chief to introduce himself, and then ask each of those in his company to introduce themselves, as well as any commissioners that are present. And in no specific order, it's just how they happen to be stacked, our Point Pleasant Fire Department.
I'm Steve Derleth, Chief of the Point Pleasant Fire Department. I've got two commissioners here and my deputy chief. I'll let them introduce themselves.
John Claudy, Deputy Chief, Point Pleasant.
Ron Hogue, Chairman of the Commission, Point Pleasant.
Marty Piazzu, Commissioner of Point Pleasant Fire District.
And we're going to have a little bit of an arithmetic game. So you're going to keep track by the time we go through all of these. How many years have you been in the department?
29.
32.
Split between Ridge Culver and Point Pleasant, 35.
8. Okay. Got those figures? It's long arithmetic. Laurelton Fire Department.
My name is Tim Schoen, the chief of the Laurelton Fire Department. I've been with the department for 11 years. I have an officer and a couple commissioners. Gentlemen.
George Nalavico, I'm captain with the Laurelton Fire Department, and I've been with Laurelton about 6 years.
I'm Greg Smith. I'm a commissioner with the Laurelton Fire District, and I've been with Laurelton for 26 or 27 years.
Rick Swaga, Commissioner, been in the fire department for 47 years. Past chief.
Seabreeze Fire Department.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Chief Dave DeRoller. I have two of my commissioners with me.
Gonna lower it.
Ray Walker, Commissioner, Seabreeze Fire Department, past chief, 20 years.
I'm Brendan Knopf. I'm a commissioner with the Seabreeze Fire Department, and I'm 5 years.
Sorry, I forgot. I'm 17 years.
For such a young man. He was a baby when he started. Ridge Culver.
Scott Zapatori, Chief Ridge Culver Fire Department. I've been with Ridge Culver for 16 years, and I have Commissioner and my Deputy Chief with me.
Anthony Meza, Ridge Culver Fire Commissioner, past chief, 28 years.
I'm Mike Napoli. I'm the Deputy Chief of Ridge Culver, and I've been with Ridge Culver for 35 years.
And last but not least, St. Paul. Nobody's here from St. Paul either.
They're out on calls.
Oh, they're out on a call. I will accept this for St. Paul. And what I wanted you to see is the number of years firefighters commit and sacrifice of their own lives to these fire departments. I don't know if you added up all those years, but when I go to each of the banquets and I see these firefighters being recognized for 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, it's amazing how much time, most of us didn't work our career that long. So to all of you, we extend our greatest appreciation. We ask that you stay safe, and even though we're just recognizing you tonight, may you extend to everyone in your departments that we are grateful 365 days a year and every year for what you do in protecting us and our property. Thank you.
Very much.
And at this time, I would like to call up Terry Huseby, our town assessor, to talk about the registration for STAR.
Terry, I'm very glad she took that out of order. That would have been a hard act to follow with the STAR.
Oh, I know. Well, good evening, everyone. And the reason why I'm speaking tonight is because there's been a recent article in the newspaper about a STAR re-registration program that the state will be putting on. And it is really important that everyone listens to what I have to say tonight because there's been some confusion. This re-registration or new registration is for STAR Basic only people. That means if you got your STAR Basic on your September 2013 school tax bill, you will be getting a notification by the state to register again for STAR Basic. And the rollout of these notifications, they're going to start mailing out the Central New York State region this week, starting the 19th of August. Then the second mailing is Western New York, which includes us, Monroe County. So they're saying that technically that they're going to start mailing the notifications out in the mail to all STAR Basic applicants next week, starting the 26th of August. This means that once you get your notification, you're going to have to register via internet or phone. Please do not mail any registrations to our office, and please try to use the New York State number on your notification if you have questions. They're really trying to encourage to do this whole registration program at the state level, and they really want people to call with questions, call them and not the assessor's office, because all we're going to be able to do is give the number that they state on your application. You're going to have another unique STAR ID number for each notification. And I know some people are kind of hesitant about this registration because it will require people to give out personal information. I cannot control it, and it's the state's requirements because they're found across the state, not in Irondequoit, yay, but other parts of New York State, there has been fraud found in this program. And the program started in 1999, so they thought it would be a good thing to do, again, to get a new database built up. And there is also an income limit. If you make over $500,000 or more, then you don't get the STAR Basic. Now, STAR Enhanced Seniors, you will get your normal renewal around the first week of November, and if you're on the automatic, you'll still get your green postcards in December. So please, you don't have to worry about this registration program. If you read anything in the paper, please keep in mind you're in a different program. You renew every year, so the state is not asking you to register. Any new homeowners this year, you will have to register for Star Basic next year. You'll be contacted by the state. Now, the deadline to do this registration will be December 31st, 2013. But they're going to send reminders if you haven't done it in December and January, which means that they're going to probably have people that are going to miss the December 31st deadline, and then the March 1st deadline will be the next round. So it's really important for people to watch their mail. When they get the notification, they really need to register right away. Please be patient. I'm not sure how their phone system's going to work. Any questions?
So we want to reiterate that for Basic Star, you must register again by December 31st, 2013, and that you must do this online or by telephone to the number 518-474-2819. And we will have that information on.
Mary Joyce, that number, I'm not sure if that's the assessor phone number or the one for the public.
Okay,
So-
all right. So Nate, we will check on that first before you put that up there.
Because
Okay,
there was
thank
some
you.
confusion, the state gave me some
Okay.
confusing numbers, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? Thank you very much. Have a great.
Thank you. And President of the Library Board, Stephanie Squiccerini, to talk about the fundraiser this weekend.
I got my tickets.
Thank you. As many of you hopefully already know, the Arundecoit Public Library Board of Trustees, in collaboration with the Arundecoit Public Library Foundation, is hosting the inaugural Barbecue and Blues for Books fundraiser this Saturday, August 24th, noon to 11 p.m. at Camp Eastman. Throughout the day, there will be great music, delicious food, Finger Lakes wine and craft beer selections, unique shopping, and fun activities for kids. Discount tickets are still available at each branch and at Harrima's Market, a bargain at just $6 each. You can also purchase discount tickets online via PayPal through Thursday evening. At the door, tickets will be just $8, with kids 12 and under free. All proceeds from our ticket sales will benefit the library and the Arundecoit Public Library Foundation. We all hope that you will join us to enjoy the musical talents of Jeff Elliott and Danny Blues, Jeff Realis and the Silvertone Express, the John Coles Blues Band, and the Coupe de Villes. While you are listening to these fantastic bands, enjoy mouth-watering barbecue prepared and served by Batavia's Alex's Place and festival favorites from Nancy's Fried Dough and, of course, more. While the food does cost extra, the pricing is very reasonable, and a portion of all the sales benefit the library and the foundation. And thanks to our many volunteer beer and wine servers, all proceeds from the sale of those beverages will benefit the library and the foundation. For a very modest $1 photo session fee, you can have photo souvenirs taken in our photo booth, fun for adults and kids. The Boy Scouts will be on hand with some of their famous games that you always see at the 4th of July Festival, and we will have a free bounce house and face painting. Come early to shop some of our local artisans and find some great books at the Friends of the Library book sale area. And if that is not enough, take a chance on some fantastic raffle prizes donated by over 24 local merchants and businesses, and a 50-inch flat-screen TV donated by a very generous and anonymous resident.
50 inches.
We will also be premiering our soon-to-be-famous glow-in-the-dark Where the Community Connects gel bracelets. So lots of fun to be had for everyone, and all for a really great cause. For complete details, including a convenient link to purchase tickets online via PayPal, a menu for Alex's Place, and the band schedule, visit libraryproposal.com and click on the events page. It is our sincere hope that you will all join us as we together celebrate reading, local musical talent, and the asset that is our library as we connect as a community in another asset of our community, Camp Eastman. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. And since we are Parade Town and Festival Town, we're hoping that this event this Saturday will be something we'll be able to do annually to add to what we try to do for all generations in town. And while we're at those public service announcements, don't forget about Oktoberfest, the weekend of 12th, 13th, and 14th, and 20th and 21st of September at Camp Eastman. We are working on the 2014 budget, a structurally balanced budget financing recurring operations with recurring revenues and avoids reliance on one-shot funding. We shall continue the reserves and appropriate for contingencies. Variable utility and fuel costs, health care, and retirement are significant factors in the budgeting process. Since the property tax composes about 50% of the revenues, we are very careful to make sure that the revenues that we budget based on economy-sensitive areas are conservatively figured in the budget. All expenses are examined, as any of the department heads can tell you. We are reviewing the capital improvement program to restructure debt in funding projects with a much longer useful life. We have the responsibility to adopt realistic and structurally balanced budgets and continuously monitor the budget. The 2012 audit is on the website. We improved the financial health of the town during the last 3 years in spite of the recession and a slow recovery. We kept the tax rate the same, followed a budgeting process that builds funds, and increased services and programs. The next issue of Images displays charts illustrating the town's financial performance based on those audited reports. These charts reflect the responsibility we have shown to monitor cash flows and strengthen assets to liabilities. It is important for a stable tax rate as we want seniors to enjoy their homes. We wish to attract young families through program offerings and encourage commercial development. We appreciate the patience of everyone during this road construction season. Residents listened when we asked that detours be followed to avoid traffic in the neighborhoods where children play. Culver and Titus roads have seen much more traffic due to the East Ridge Road, Portland Avenue, St. Paul, and Route 590 reconstruction. Traffic accidents have added to the congestion as motorists need to slow down and pay attention to their driving. Again, I wish to reiterate that we receive complaints from residents about speeding cars. Please slow down. Free sampler classes are being held at the Irondequoit Community Center on Pine Grove for tot and youth fitness, dance and creative movement, and children's art. Please check these out in the fall activity guide. You received these, I believe, last week, and they are distributed all through town. Plus, you can find this also online, and there's lots of goodies in there from Parks and Recreation. And please remember to keep grass mowed within 6 inches and do not park on the grass. Code compliance is important to quality of life in our neighborhoods. Report issues to code enforcement. Then the code officer will visit the site, take photos, and send a letter to the violator. We allow 10 days for compliance before commencing action. Visit the building department for permits for almost everything. If you have a question, please call the building department. By the way, last week, 13 Wham featured its fun fact on the ship mast sculpture at the Duran Boulevard roundabout. The question posed was, what are the names of the 2 birds on the sculpture? And based on one of my favorite movies, so here's looking at you, Jack and Mildred. So, when life gives you lemons, let's make limoncello. And with that, let us go to public input. And our first one of the evening is Diane Stark.
Good evening, everyone. Diane Stark, 538 Shelford Road. Excuse me. Recently, I heard about the lawsuit brought against the town by 7 homeowners who live across the street. They are unhappy about the location of the new library. Why, I wondered, had we not heard from them previously? I never heard of any of them at any of the informational meetings to which I attended, and I attended many. Why now, after the overwhelming yes vote? Well, when I read my copy of the Irondequoit Post, my questions were answered. When I read that article and I saw that their spokesperson is the man who has made himself a reputation for going out of his way to find fault with just about anything with which this town board is involved, I realized that this lawsuit is a continuum of his personal agenda. I find it unnecessary and frivolous. Any sympathies I may have had with these people just went out the window. I find it distressing that even 1 cent of my tax dollars will go toward the cost of the defense of this. That's pretty sad. This man stood at this very podium, and he has the right to do that, as I have now, as attested by that Norman Rockwell picture, without fear of being hauled off to Florida and thrown in a sinkhole, never to be heard from again. Thank God he has the right to do that. Keeps us on our toes. But I have seen him accuse the town board of not providing the voters of the referendum with enough information. Well, I had enough information. I knew what I was voting for. By voting yes, I was giving my okay to say that I want a new library. And also I was giving my vote of confidence to the town board to borrow the money to hire the experts to draw up plans, to follow the proper legal and environmental channels to implement those plans by hiring the best contractors to put up a beautiful building that will not only enhance or further enhance our town board campus, but will be a benefit to all who pass through its doors. I urge all residents to voice their frustrations concerning this frivolous lawsuit and to show support for the new library by writing letters to our local newspapers. Also, I ask that you show support for the Library Board of Trustees by attending the Barbecue and Blues for Books event at Camp Eastman this Saturday. Thank you.
Richard Barone.
Richard Barone, 154 Hallwood Drive. The lawsuit is not about the placement at that location. The lawsuit is about the violation of the state environmental law, and if the lady would read the lawsuit, she'd understand that. It's too bad this town board tonight is voting on a seeker that they should have voted before it voted in February, and before it voted or had the people vote in April. This 28-page document, what the town attorney there has seen, filed with the court, proves point by point, law by law, where this town board violated the state environmental law. And this town board will not defend itself because it knows that if you go into court, the judge is going to rule against you. Why? Because Evelyn Frazee has ruled against you just a few months ago on the same issue. Let's talk facts. Let's talk personalities and emotionalism. She has a right to do that. The April vote is null and void. I'm sure your attorney has told you that. You have an obligation to put that vote on the ballot again on November 5th. A petition by the people for a referendum called a permissive referendum. A bunch of people have told me they should do a referendum. Unfortunately, if we do that, the vote cannot be held until the middle or late November. That would cost about $11,000 for this town board because that's the cost that was for the special election in April. So you have the responsibility to give this to the voters again. Their votes are no longer counted. It's no longer valid legally. This is what this document says. No one's challenged this document. That's in the court. So if the board scheduled the vote for November 5th, you avoid a second vote, you avoid the $10,000 and extra expenses for the inspectors and the legal costs and so forth. It's unfortunate that library people don't care about the law. Not one of them had said to this board, did you violate the law, and prove it to me. The only person on this board that's really asked hard questions is Irene Skobrak. The only one. And one board member who's concerned about a $1,200 expense hasn't spoke up one iota about the cost of this $22 million. Not $13 million. Who's paying the interest? Santa Claus? $22 million. Do the right thing. Put it on the ballot on November 5th if you're so confident that the people really support it. Thank you.
Sal Gugliardo.
How you doing? Salvatore Guillardo, 1231 Titus Avenue. I'm here to speak for not just myself, but the community here. The biggest issue that I have is that you're allowing kids to come out of school after a long day, and you're telling me that it's okay for them to walk over a mile to come to your library. I don't feel that is adequate way for these kids to get safe transportation, which would be walking from their schools to the library here. Right now, they have a convenient location where they're at, and I don't see anyone in this board thinking about their safety because the weather's so nice here in New York. The biggest other thing that I'm worried about is the traffic backup. I see it 24/7 in the afternoons and in the evening. It is backed up, and it's been backed up all the way to Culver Road. There's been numerous accidents right in front of the town hall that nobody has any idea that there's been accidents there. And my final thing is, I know there's millions of dollars being spent to this library now, but how many more millions are there to come after the fact? That's where I'm at with this. And I want to finish it off, first of all, to the chief and to the excellent officer for his recognition for his helping out a fellow officer. Thank you for your time.
Joan Gardner.
Hi, good evening. I'm Joan Gardner, 33 Hoover Road. I'm delighted that Irondequoit will be getting a new library. At least I hope so. Over my 20 years of being an Irondequoit resident, I've been a regular at the Paula Evans branch. I grew up using public libraries. I grew up in the Capital District area. All the libraries in that area have been updated. My friends who live in other towns in the Rochester area have updated newer libraries. Sometimes I visit those libraries, and I always hope that we will be able to do something similar here in Irondequoit. Now that we've taken the first step, I hope it won't be long before we too are enjoying a centralized, expanded, updated library. Please keep the forward motion going on this worthwhile effort. I look forward to an opening celebration on a new library sometime in the not-too-distant future. Thank you.
And Bob LaRosa.
I'm Bob LaRosa, 115 Van Boris Avenue. We've heard a lot of comments in the past about how people didn't know what they were voting on when the vote came up. Well, when we voted, my wife and I, when we voted to approve the funds for the new library, we definitely knew what we were voting on. And anyone who went to any of the meetings or read the materials on the website completely understood what they were voting for. And those who now say they didn't know what they were voting for weren't paying attention. And they won't be paying attention in the future either. Before the vote, Mr. Barone was determined to defeat it. He campaigned against it, he ran questionable ads against it, and yet he failed. So he went after the next best thing. Let's start throwing up obstacles based on technicalities. Well, I understand now that the technicalities have been dealt with. So will he say thank you to the board, and let's move on, as anyone would, who had the interests of the town at heart? I don't think so. If he does what he has done in the past, he will find something else to delay the project and to continue to prevent progress in the town. In the end, I'm confident that the library will still be built, and I ask the board to drive it forward. The people overwhelmingly want the library. The only difference now will be the costs of dealing with lawsuits, the cost of the never-ending freedom of information requests from Mr. Barone, the cost of higher interest rates, which we all know are on the rise, and by next November could be much, much higher than they are now. and the cost of everyone's time who worked with community members to get the best possible result. When we find out that the cost of the project has gone up, as he's done in the past, Mr. Barone will undoubtedly say, "Don't blame me. If the town did it right, that is, the way I say we should do it, or maybe not even at all, then this wouldn't have happened." Well, I do blame him, because what he did was unnecessary and could have been dealt with much more simply and at much lower cost in time and money. We put up with all this because in a democracy we believe that everyone should have their voice heard. But there comes a time when we must recognize that people like Mr. Barone and his so-called watch group, if there actually is one, have their own agenda, and the good of the town is not on that agenda. Thank you.
And now for the financial report.
The financial results for the town as of July 31st, 2013. Total expenditures and encumbrances are $16,754,000, or 53.5% of budget. That is below the 58.3% of the year that has elapsed. The total of that $16.8 million breaks down as follows. Actual expenditures, $15,240,000, and encumbrances, $1,514,000. The encumbered amount is reasonable as departments continue to commit to supplies, services, and commodities that are necessary for the remainder of the year. The general fund expenses are $9,428,000, which is below budget at 51.9%. Of the $9.4 million total, $8.8 million represents the actual year-to-date spending. Collectively, the expenses in the highway funds are $3,747,000, or 67.2% of budget, above the percent of the year that has elapsed. As we have discussed throughout the year, each of the highway funds has substantial and necessary encumbrances such as gas, fuel, asphalt, debt service, equipment parts, and salt. The expenditures in the library are $966,000, 51.8% of budget, below the percent of the year that has elapsed. Sewer has expended 46.2% of budget, a total of $1,808,000. Stormwater drainage expenses are $235,000, and that equates to 30.1% of budget. So as you can see, the other major funds are below the percent of the year that has elapsed, as well as the general fund. The general fund has received $12,420,000, 68.8% of budget. $10.3 million is tax revenue, $225,000 is payment in lieu of taxes. Year-to-date, the town has recorded sales tax revenue for January and February, and mortgage tax for the first quarter of the year. Recreation fees are higher than budget at 65.7%, and other sources of revenue is tracking slightly above budget at 59.1%. Included in the other category are line item are departmental efforts such as weeds and demolitions, safety inspection fees, and prevention and fire prevention permits. In summary, revenue for the entire town after 7 months through the end of July is $24.5 million, which equates to 78.7% of the town's total revenue budget. Approximately $16.3 million of the total is real estate tax. The library has received $1.8 million, or 96% of its revenue. $5 million of revenue is in for the highway funds, representing 89.5% of the budget for those funds. $3.8 million has been received by the sewer fund, representing 99.6% of that budget. This concludes my financial report for the period ending July 31st, 2013.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, but we did receive the second quarter sales tax, so it was much better than 2012 and 2013, a little under what the first quarter was, but that's to be expected. You have in front of you approval of minutes. The first one, the workshop of July 10th. May I have a motion to accept? And a second?
Second.
Did anyone find anything that needed to be added? No? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of accepting as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
The July 16th, 2013, the regular town board meeting.
Motion. Thank you. And Paul must abstain, and I will second. Did anyone find anything needing to be added? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor to accept as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. No nays, and one abstention.
The items for board action. Item 8A 2013-1, authorizing grant application from the Justice Court Assistance Program.
Motion, please?
Moved.
And a second. Thank you. And I believe Annie's going to.
Whereas the Arundecoit Town Court is located in the town of Arundecoit, and whereas the Arundecoit Town Court intends to request grant funding and/or supplies from the 2013-2014 Justice Court Assistance Program, or JCAP, and whereas the Justice Court Assistance Program grants require no cost share or financial contribution from the town, and whereas the Justice Court Assistance Program application requires a resolution of the town board authorizing the application. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes the application to be submitted to the Justice Court Assistance Program by the Arundecoit Town Court for funding and/or supplies for an amount not to exceed $30,000. Be it further resolved that any goods or services awarded will be used only in accordance with the rules and regulations governing the Justice Court Assistance Program, and that any goods and/or services purchased with JCAP funds will be obtained in accordance with acceptable procurement practices established by the governing municipality, that no funds awarded pursuant to this application shall be used to compensate justices or non-judicial staff, or to reduce or otherwise supplant funding provided by the town to its justice court. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption, and the $30,000 will be used primarily for computers and printers.
Thank you.
Excellent. Just want to, again, publicly thank Mrs. Schmiegel. She, over in the court, she's always very good about looking for court assistance programs and grants, and just thank her for this work.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 8A 2013-2, authorizing the hiring of a laborer in the Fiscal Services Department at the town of Arundecoit.
Motion, please.
Motion.
And second.
Second.
Thank you. And I think Patrick?
Good evening. Beth Watcho and I discussed with the board at the workshop the proposed hiring of a new laborer to replace a vacancy that exists. After reviewing 60 applications and interviewing 8 candidates, we believe we have picked a worthy candidate for this job. Corey is a town resident, has just recently graduated from SUNY Oswego. Corey has also just completed 3 summer seasons with the Highway Department and has proven himself in his attitude and abilities. Whereas the Commissioner of Public Works, after careful review and consideration, sees a need to hire an additional laborer in the Physical Services Department, and whereas this position is represented by CSEA and was posted per contract guidelines, And whereas the Commissioner of Public Works has reviewed the numerous applications that were submitted and find the qualifications of Corey Godomsky to be best suited to fill the labor position needed for the evening shift, and whereas the Commissioner of Public Works wishes to hire Corey Godomsky to the full-time position of laborer at $16.45 per the blue-collar union contract, account number 031-8121.0100.1100. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board appoints Corey Godomsky to the position of laborer within the Town of Arundecoit, effective after the successful completion of a Department of Transportation physical.
Thank you. Does anyone have anything to add or ask?
We did that at the workshop.
Okay. Okay, hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And is Corey present?
He is.
Corey?
He's over here.
Thank you for having me aboard. Guess I can finally get back to my town now. I love growing up here. Really appreciate it.
Welcome to the team.
Yep.
Thanks, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Item 8A, 2013-3, authorizing an amendment to the 2013 budget of the Police Department to appropriate grant funding from the U.S. government in the amount of $250 for the acquisition of electronic taping equipment.
Motion, please.
Moved.
And a second.
I love to second grants.
Thank you. Okay, Chief.
This is to purchase some electronic equipment for our interviews. And we didn't have quite enough money. We needed an extra $250 to fulfill this grant. The original grant was approved in 2010 for electronic equipment with the town of Arundecoit. Whereas it is necessary to amend the grant appropriate to transfer the funds necessary to purchase the items requested. Now therefore it is resolved that the 2013 budget of the Police Department is amended by transferring the revenue amount of $250 from budget line 00100014389 to expense account 00131202030 line item. Be it resolved that the Town Board grants authority to the Town Supervisor to execute any and all documents related to this agreement.
Thank you, Chief. Does anyone want to ask anything?
I just think in some ways when you see these line items, it just goes to just a little tutorial where you talk about, you watch every line item. This is a perfect example of what we're talking about, that every expense has to come from a line item. And when we're doing the budgets, that's exactly what you have been so good about doing, is keeping every one of those line items in check along with the department heads. So thank you, Chief.
Anything else? Okay, hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 8A, 2013-4, declaring 8 radar units surplus property and obtain authorization for destruction.
Motion, please. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, Chief.
Okay, I have 8 radar units that are outdated, old. We no longer can repair them. We can't sell them, and we offered them to the state to use them for parts, and they don't want them either.
Are we surprised?
So what I'm asking for is to declare these radars surplus and to allow me to destroy them when we take our property to the place where we destroy everything.
Thank you, Chief.
Secret.
We're all thinking it, aren't we? Is there anything to add?
Can I send some things with you?
I might add that these were all purchased on state grants throughout the years. And that's why we did check first with the state, asked them if they wanted them back, at least for parts, but they didn't want them back, so.
They haven't learned our philosophy yet.
No.
Reduce, reuse, and recycle.
So we're recycling these.
Okay. Okay, hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 8A 2013-5, authorizing attendance to the 26th Annual Colonel Henry F. Williams International Homicide Seminar.
Motion, please,
Moved.
and second, please. Thank you. Okay, Chief.
This is a prestigious seminar, and it's by invitation only, and there's no guarantee that an officer would be able to attend, although we have been accepted to this one. And I'm requesting that I send newly appointed investigator Anthony DeFonte to attend the 26th Annual Colonel Henry F. Williams International Homicide Seminar being offered by the New York State Police in Albany, New York, beginning September 21st, 2013, and ending on September 26, 2013. And whereas the funding of this course is available in the 2013 Police Department budget, account number 013120-4100, approximate cost will be $995. Now therefore be resolved that Investigator Anthony DeFonte attend the 26th Annual Colonel Henry F. Williams International Homicide Seminar.
Thank you, Chief.
We discussed this on Wednesday, that I'm not going to support this, and Chief, I realize, I know I explained this to you already, going on Saturday and Sunday, 3-hour cruises, dinner cruises, elaborate banquets, and going to the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown for a day. These are things that should be done on people's vacations, and I'm sure that this part, the conference part, might be great, but I really feel strongly about this, that if every town board stopped approving these kind of things that are full of junkets, they would take them out. So that's my...
I guess I have a differing opinion, and that is that I feel that we should take responsibility and support educational opportunities and networking opportunities. As I'm reading here, it's also networking with international officers. So it's not just relative to our region and our nation, it's international too.
Sure, and I agree.
So I think that it's
I think
quite
that's important. I do.
a very important as well as
And I think
fulfilling an
that can be done
educational
right there
opportunity.
at the place they're going to have the conference, at the police, I forget the name of it. I guess one of the things I'm so strongly firm about this is, and it's going to come up again right now because people are going to get their school tax bill, and Barbara sees this every single time. I was here when the tax bill came out, and I happened to be coming into town hall, and there was this widow who was literally sobbing because she could not pay her tax bill. She was going to have to sell her house. So to me, I think she literally had to sell her house. And you see these people coming in every single time crying, please, I can't pay this tax bill. And when I get things like this, I think her money is going to pay for this. And I can't do it.
Thank you. Okay, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
So that's 4 yes, 1 no. Motion carries.
Item 8A 2013-6, adopt a resolution regarding State Environmental Quality Review Act, new library project negative declaration.
Moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Arundecoit, known as the Town Board, proposes that the Town of Arundecoit, the town, undertake the construction of a new approximately 50,000 square foot library in the Town Hall campus, the library project, and proposes to borrow a maximum of $13 million for such construction. Whereas the Town Board on July 10th, 2013, received and reviewed from the Town Supervisor a full environmental assessment form, EAF, with respect to the library project prepared by Passero Associates and reviewed, considered, and filed such EAF. And whereas the Town Board in its meeting of July 10th, 2013, adopted Resolution 2013-083, which preliminarily classified the proposed library project as a Type 1 action and stated the Town Board's intent to act as the lead agency for the review of the library project pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, known as SEQR. And whereas on July 12, 2013, the town supervisor sent a letter, a copy of Resolution 2013-083, and the EAF to all potentially involved agencies, stating that the town board intended to act as the lead agency pursuant to SECRA, and whereas no involved agency has objected to the town board acting as the lead agency for the SECRA review of the library project, and now therefore the town board resolves that it is the lead agency for the SECRA review of the library project, and the library project is a Type 1 action. And further resolves that the town board has reviewed Part 2 of the EAF and as drafted and adopts the same as modified by the town board, and that Part 3 of the EAF is not required as there are no potentially large adverse impacts. And further resolves that the library project will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment based on the EAF and the attachments and supplements thereto, and more particularly for the reasons set forth in the negative declaration attached hereto and made a part hereof, and that no environmental impact statement is required. And further resolves the town supervisor shall file the negative declaration along with this resolution with the town clerk, forward these documents to the other involved and interested agencies, any person who requests a copy, maintain the EAF and negative declaration in a file readily accessible to the public, published notice thereof in the New York State DEC Environmental Notice Bulletin, and make such documents available on the town's website. And further resolves that the resolution supersedes and replaces the town board resolution of February 19th, 2013 on the SECRA review for the library project. And further resolves that the requirements of 6 NYCRR 617 have been met. This resolution shall take place effect immediately upon its adoption. And attached to that is the State Environmental Quality Review Act negative declaration notice of determination of non-significance, and you can put in today's date, August 20th, 2013.
Madam, just for confusion, do you want to explain what negative declaration means, lest someone get the wrong impression?
Yeah, sure. I guess I'd be happy to do that. I mean, what the town board has before it, and it's, as we discussed extensively at the workshop on August 14th, is a resolution which does the 5 things the supervisor said. It accepts your role as the lead agency. It accepts Part 2 of the EAF, which was reviewed in detail at the meeting on August 14th, and had been presented by John Caruso, Passero Associates. By adopting this resolution, that document in essence becomes a town board document. It also finds that Part 3 of the EAF, which you only fill out if there's some potentially large impacts, doesn't have to be filled out because though we identified some potential impacts, all of them were small and insignificant. And that had been something that Mr. Caruso had presented to the board and had been discussed. And it also adopts a negative declaration. For the project going forward, I guess a negative declaration is positive.
Okay.
It means that you don't have to do an environmental impact statement, and it means once it's adopted, then the town board can start going forward with the next steps in the process. And it also directs, as the supervisor said, the filing of all notices. As I said, the EAF was in fact presented to the town board, this document on July 10th, 2013, when it was discussed in detail once again by Mr. Caruso, Passero Associates. John provided additional information outlined in his letter of July 24th, 2013, addressing some questions we had received from the town board on traffic, parking, aesthetics, and the history of the site. All of this information was again reviewed at the town board workshop on August 14th. The town board has spent, by my clock, over 2 hours discussing the EAF and the potential issues between the July 10th and August 14th workshop, and I'm sure other time reading through all the documents. We had also reviewed at the August 14th workshop the draft negative declaration of environmental significance. We won't read all that, I don't think, here, but what that does is discuss each 20 areas of potential environmental significance. It contains the reasoning based upon the engineering studies, based upon information provided by the Director of Development, and has been supplemented and discussed at the meetings. If the town board adopts the negative declaration of the seeker resolution tonight, I would suspect that at the next town board workshop, we'll be discussing a bond resolution again to keep the project moving along and looking at the options for moving that forward. The resolution tonight is solely on the seeker review, but is a necessary step to take. So in summary, nobody else wants to be the lead agency. You guys are ready to do it. We've spent hours going through this with you. The past row associates have worked very hard to answer the questions that came up, and we have this draft document in front of you tonight.
Thank you. Okay. I'm happy to see that progress and procedure are being followed. I had noted here that the second paragraph from the bottom states that, and further resolves that the resolution supersedes and replaces the town board resolution of February 19th, 2013 on the secret review for the library project. I believe we discussed it, but we never voted and adopted a resolution on that day. If you'd like to check the records of that.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to do is to make sure that this is going to become the new seeker record for this. There was, in fact, a bond resolution adopted that date that did talk about there being a seeker resolution that was adopted. You know, in reaction, well, we can pull it out, but
Okay,
in fact, it was the bond resolution adopted that day that mentioned that there had been a seeker resolution adopted. With the lawsuit going on and the claims that have been made, frankly, what we're doing here is making the record match and making there be materials before the town board to support that versus going through the expense and delay of a lawsuit. So I wanted to make very clear, though, that what you're doing tonight replaces whatever was done on February 19th, and that this will be the record for the seeker for the library project.
Okay, as long as it's appropriate, I guess. I'd also like to tell people that we were quite involved in reviewing the information pieces and the impact and such. And there were many, many questions raised, many good questions, many good collaborative answers that were being given that covered many aspects, from traffic and parking and drainage and aesthetics, and the list goes on. I did call Mr. Caruso myself, and I asked additional questions, his empirical stats, where they came from. That was my only real great concern to him, because the stats were based on just 2 studies that he had done, not regional studies of 150. So I thought that may have been a little low for addressing and doing comparisons and such. So 9 out of the 22 areas that were highlighted in our declaration were small impacts. Thus, no large impacts do exist. And I think that there was pretty thorough vetting at that time. Although there are questions on other individuals' minds, I think that the process was thorough, and procedurally it was thorough in comparison to what was brought forth to us in February 19th, 2013. So we, as a board, had taken our due diligence based upon counsel. So I just wanted to clarify that. So the process is here. We're doing the negative declaration, and we hope that you take in consideration those points that I brought out.
Well put.
Where's Larry?
Just went out with a call.
Oh, did he? I just want to make a couple of comments. Obviously, I was involved since day one with the library. I went to all the meetings. I was involved with all the meetings. I think this seeker right now really reaffirms a lot what Larry had said. I want to give a lot of credit to Larry I mean, he's not here right now. He went out and took a call, but I think he deserves a lot of credit because from day one, there's not much difference here. The information that the library and the library board was passing out to the folks in town at all the meetings was all pretty well. For me personally, there's not one surprise in this secret at all whatsoever, because I think Larry did a lot of work and he was quite involved in the whole process. I think the information that was passed out to the folks in town was spot on. The only surprise I would have saw here is if it said it couldn't have been built on the project, on the parcel here. I think we stated to a lot of the people in town, the town wouldn't commit to a piece of property that couldn't be built on. So I wish Larry was in here, but Larry deserves a lot of credit.
Yes.
Under some personal issues and situations that Larry's been through, he answered just about everything, and any time that the board or myself had questions, Larry answered them, and that library proposal was continuously updated, weekly, hourly, probably at some time. So this just reaffirms all the messages that we're passing out to all the folks in town.
And just to add, John, even under terrible accusations against his personal character and integrity, he kept his cool and never lost his temper, even though he had every right with some of the terrible accusations that were given about him. I also just want to add that as John Caruso from Passero was going over this, he did compliment the supervisor and the board about the thoroughness, and even to the extent where he had said he really hadn't seen anybody do such a thorough job.
There's only one other comment I want to make, and Larry had brought this point up, and John Caruso brought this point up, because traffic was an issue, and believe it or not, there's less traffic today than there was about 10 years ago out there, so people have to understand that as well. There's less traffic today than there was about 10 years ago, so that was always an issue, and all his, he did everything on peak hours, so he did it he confirmed everything that Larry had said. I can't appreciate the hard work that Larry put into this as well.
Thank you, John. And I would like to thank the Library Board of Trustees for all the time they put in to holding all of those informational meetings, to attending all the service organizations, clubs, high schools. They were everywhere, and I really appreciate that. I enjoyed being at those meetings with them and discussing all of the positive things and addressing concerns that residents had. And we want to thank all of you for all of the time, to the Friends of the Library for all the time they put in also in supporting the library. We are really grateful, and I think you all deserve applause for that. I know, it was a challenge, because of what Larry and I were going through, and I think it's very clear where we want to take this town and what our residents would like.
And what the majority of the residents want to take this town.
So I would like to...
I just have one more question to ask the attorney. That, in your opinion, do you feel that we as a board have taken the best hard look at the points that were given?
Yeah, I mean, what the whole process has been is identifying the potential issues. We have then gone through the process of discussing them and developing information under, I think we had talked before about the rule of reasonableness, which is, you can't necessarily answer every single detail, but you develop enough information so you can say, okay, now we're confident that the project as proposed won't have a significant adverse impact.
Okay.
The procedural steps have been taken, the EAF has been prepared, it's been reviewed. As I say, I mean, one of the things about the extraordinary thing to think of a town board reviewing something like this for about 2 hours is a lengthy process, and I think both John and I certainly appreciate the board's presence in doing that, and that you are ready to go forward and adopt this resolution.
Okay, and another question, have all the areas that relate to seeker and the town code, do you feel that that's been adequately addressed also?
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue about the town code, we'll be certainly going forward, and exactly what consultations you might have with some of the town planning bodies. I mean, this is a town project, so it's not directly covered by the code per se. But what we have done here is looked at where really the significant environmental issues and identified those and gone through them.
So we are adhering to what town code had.
You are adhering to
Okay.
the requirements
That's what I
of law with respect to the seeker review.
Okay, that sounds good.
Just for the record. Anything else? And I think, too, when we examine what our goals have been financially in building the fund balances, we are looking at the capital improvement program because I have examined ways that we should be dealing with certain projects, that long-term debt should be for projects of a much longer useful life. So I think, what we have been doing in terms of the financial picture and looking at the restructuring of debt, that it's time to move this project. So, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 8A, 2013-7, approving the first annual Mike Coyle Memorial Fund Run to be held on August 25th, 2013, Sunday at 9 a.m. at the Arundequoit High School track.
So moved. In a second. Barb?
This is very close to Barb's heart, so we'll give her a minute.
Thank you, Barb. And it's unfortunate that we have to have memorial races, especially under, so.
This is probably going to be the first of an annual we would expect to honor.
All of the approvals have been received.
Okay, thank you, Barb. Okay, any questions? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And according to my agenda, that is it.
Sounds good.
So, unless somebody has something for the good of the organization, I would ask for a motion for adjournment. And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries, and we are adjourned. Thank you for coming tonight.
Arundequoit Town Board on ICAT 12, Arundequoit's government access channel.